Welcome back to Cards and Comics. It's been a little while, couple days, maybe a week since I did a video, and in that time, I know you keep hearing me say it. I do some traveling, but I wanted to make sure I talked about this mail day I've got, because this is all vintage mail day, and there's some really, especially one really special card, but also a really cool pickup I got at the recent Albany card show. So we'll start here with, this. And I also want to talk about sort of some of the things I'm going to be looking at, picking up to really hopefully put the nail in a few of my sets I've been working on. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. But first up is a card I really like. I like this set a lot, the E90-1 American Caramel set. And here is the Hal Chase and a very nice 3. I really love the deep red on this card. There you go. And the cool baseball caramel is back. Just a great set. One of the, from what I understand, and believe me, I'm not the biggest pre-war collector in the world. I do have quite a few cards, but not the expert. If you want to go find an expert, go to Joe Wood Collector, my buddy, and ask him some questions. He's definitely more of a pre-war guy than me, but my understanding is that the E cards are much shorter printed than the T cards for the most part, and so sets like this are harder to find. They're just not as popular because most of the E sets are small. Most don't have a wide range of Hall of Famers. A lot of them are regional, so you only had a few teams in some of them. So it definitely was not like a T set, which was massive, like the T206 set. But I do think a lot of the E cards have better eye appeal in some cases. So this card definitely looks great. It's a little off center top to bottom, but I think that deep red color really makes up for it. And there you go. Really cool card to start off here. Next up is a few cards I just picked up in an auction. Keep adding cards. And I really like the first card here. 68 Tom Seaver. So this is second year Tom Seaver. First card by himself with a nice trophy here. So in a really nice SGC 7.5. So with 68, what you really have to do, just as a tip, this card's pretty well centered. And you can't really tell if there's any corner wear on the front. With this burlap bag design, you really have to flip it over. And then you can see like a corner like that. See that little white tip? That one looks okay. And then down here, another white tip. So you can see the corner wear on these corners here. There's a tiny bit here. See that little white tip? So you got 3 corners with touches. So again, with this grade, a 7.5 or PSA, it's a discussion for the ages, right? That's one of the biggest thing people want. But I do think it's a nice eye appeal. And technically, it's close, 7.5, 7. But I do think eye appeal definitely matters a lot. And this card's pretty nice. Next up is the same exact grade on a 73 Tom Seaver. I like having a lot of 60s and 70s Hall of Famers, especially I won't call it mid-tier, but these not as expensive, just because when I go to card shows, they sell. People have $40 to $50 sometimes. They don't have $2,000 or $3,000 every time, and I think that's one of the things I want to talk about. I have 2 videos I'm going to be talking about pretty soon. One of them is about the cost of things in the hobby and just sort of how we're skewed right now. And the other video I want to talk about is sort of like, about this whole Kurt's card care, and just kind of like how we haven't really evolved as a hobby very much. So I'll talk about those 2 things in some upcoming videos. Hopefully this week I can sit down and have some quiet time to do some of this. Again, look at the back. Again, you can see a touch right there on that back corner. That corner is pretty clean. That corner is pretty clean. So again, just this one touch here. that I would say is significant for a card like that. So again, a lot of people, I think when you first get into vintage cards, it's just that you pay a lot of attention to the front, but the back will tell you on a lot of cards what the true story is without you having to get loops and stuff. Like we're seeing this just by our eyeballs, right? We're not using loops. We're not getting to the microscopic level. We can see that a card like this has some corner wear, so it's not going to be a 9 or 10, for example, not even 8. So this is what happens a lot of times. People look at the front, they get really enamored. Card, this card's off top to bottom, but they'll go with the card like, oh, this card looks almost like perfect, and then they'll see something on the back and they just don't really look that hard, and there's something right here, there's a little ding here, and then the card carries a 6 or 7, and they don't really know why. So just always look at the back, guys. Will tell you many stories of your cards. And final for the kind of the normal cards, I'd say. Here is a PSA 8.5 Reggie Jackson. So this card is has an interesting history in the hobby. When I first started collecting as a kid, I heard stories that this wasn't even Reggie Jackson's photo. It was like someone else. It's just a really, really weird and ugly photo of him. Like, I don't think any of us would want to be photographed in max effort, face grimace mode, and put on a card for everyone to collect. So they did kind of Reggie dirty here, because honestly, I don't mind seeing Reggie throw a ball, but I mean, when this card looked a lot cooler if he was batting, hitting a home run or something, like something he's really, really known for. Again, backwise, card is a little off center. And the one thing I'd say is, again, you can see a little touch here. You see a little touch here. The one thing about this card is so interesting that there is even a little touch on this border here. So again, I think that's why it's just really tough when card has tremendous eye appeal on the front, but you can see the back has a little bit of damage. So, touches on the corner and a little thing on the side here. This is why it's really tough to judge cards. Pre-grade, if you're really harsh on a card like this, you might pre-grade this card between a 7 and 8. Comes back an 8.5, you're really happy, but you're probably also like going to get a card that you thought was grading 8 to 9 and come back as 6 or 7. So this is the tough part of this vintage game of grading, is you just don't know how much that little white there, that little ding there is going to take off. There's no score mechanism. You can't just be like, well, that's 5 points. I know exactly what's going to happen. No, we don't know. We have no clue what that grader is going to do, how he's going to overall assess that card. I wish there was a scorecard. That would be a much simpler process, but we can't have simple process, guys. Come on. It's one of the topics of my next videos is we don't seem to like making anything easy in this hobby. All right, last 2 cards. So this card's really important because it does something for me in the hobby. So 70 Willie Mays SGC 92, which is a 8.5. So yeah, it's a great card. I mean, it's a little off center, but it's very technically sound. I mean, look at that white, like almost just like blaring white background on the back. So the other thing too is like a lot of times, even if the back knows no damage, how bright it is determined to me shows me that the card has never been really exposed. It's never been handled much. A lot of times it means it could have been it could have been pulled out of a vending pack. A lot of vending cards have this really beautiful, like kind of that color, and and so that just makes the card seem a lot more pack fresh to have that bright white background on a card like this. So what's important about this card, besides the fact it's a cool Willie Mays 8.5, SGC 8.5, but this now completes my 70s Mays run, which isn't really that impressive, right? That's 70, 71, 72, 73, plus the 74 World Series card. But it does give me a complete set of Mays cards from 1955 through 73, for playing cards. So now I'm getting closer and closer to having a full Mays run. I'm missing, the 51, the 52s, the 53s, the 54s. So I have 55, 56, 57, 58, all the way, so straight through. So, yeah, so now I need to really focus on those 50s Maze cards. Obviously, harder to find, higher price point. So it's not going to be like something I can accomplish in a year or 2 years. So this is going to be the long journey for Willie Mays. Hank Aaron, I'm down to 2 cards. I need the 58 and the 54. So Hank Aaron seems like he's a legitimate 1 to 2 year before I get him done. But Willie Mays, I'm quite a few years away, 2 or 3 years away on Willie Mays, probably before I finish the run. But every card counts, and here's another one. Another one bites the dust, right? So that's an important card because, again, that completes my 55 through 73 run of Willie Mays. And last but not least is a card I picked up at the Albany Card Show. There's a vintage dealer there that I really like, and he's got good cards, and he prices them exactly where he thinks they should be sold. He's not a VCPer or, he definitely prices things up sometimes. And now he definitely will price cards based on what he thinks condition-wise is. So, like if it's well-centered, great color, he prices it higher than off-center and, not as good of a card in his opinion. So, in that case, sometimes I don't agree with what the opinion is, and so I like the discount on the other card. But in this case, I agreed with him. He had 2 of these cards, and I picked the one I thought was the best. And it is a really nice one. I don't know if I could get much better on a 59 Mantle than this card. It's just really, really nice. It's got great color. It's got great centering. It's actually in focus pretty well. This card does sometimes come out of focus. So his face is kind of clear. I'd say it's like not perfect focus. It's a little bit, but it's really good for what this card sometimes looks like. Color-wise, I just love the color on this card. So that's the one thing that drove me to the card. Because color to me isn't just the vibrant red. It's not having tons of print dots all in this red. That makes the card much less attractive, right? Now let's look at the back. Now here's another thing too. The back is very nice. It's just for one thing, it's a very fresh looking back, right? It's not toned. There isn't weird cuts to it. It's just a very nice back on a card like this. So it's just high end. This is a very, very nice 7. I don't think anyone would have complained that this card was a 7.5. And I think back in the day when 7.5s first came out, these were the kind of cards people would resubmit quite often to try to get that half grade. Because, again, visually, very, very nice. Very nice eye appeal. And there isn't anything obvious or glaring. There isn't like even really big touches on the corners here. You could say, wow, okay, that's like a 6, but everything else brings it up to a 7. No. It's got really near mint plus corners plus just beautiful eye appeal. So this is my second 50s Mantle. You remember at the National last year, I did get rid of 2 Mantles. There was a 52 and a 53, the 53 Topps and 52 Bowman. So yes, that was painful on the Mantle collection side to lose 2 big cards like that. But, that went towards the 68 3D Clemente, so no regrets there. So I'm slowly rebuilding and getting more 50s Mantles just because, or just any Mantle, because for all the years I've been collecting, he's definitely one player I did not pay attention to very much. Because honestly, he was just so expensive. I could, at the time, afford Mays, Aaron, and Clemente. I couldn't afford Mantle in the same grade. So I just kind of he was the unattainable card in every set from expense. So just kind of collected without him for a lot of years. And now I'm kind of going back and filling in the holes in that collection. I'm never going to say I'm going to be a Mantle completist. I'm not going to have a full run of Mantle cards. I don't think ever. I'm not going to pony up the money for 52 Topps, like a PSA 1, just to say I have it. I just feel like I don't like that card or the player enough to spend that kind of cash for a card that looks like it went through a cheese grater. So I just, just a personal preference. Now maybe in the future I'll change my mind, but right now I don't really have plans. I just want to pick up the ones I really enjoy and love and think are beautiful. He's got a lot of great cards, like the 54 Red Heart. I'd love to pick up one just because I think it's a beautiful card. So as far as I mentioned a few things like the 58 and 54 Aaron are the two Aarons I need. And I want to get another Jackie Robinson card this year. So I have one targeted and another big Chief Bender card. So I got two vintage cards I'm really targeting. Hopefully I can pull it off and I can show them off on the channel. And if I do, I'll let you know. But I have a Jackie and a Chief Bender card that two cards I'm really looking forward to try to work out some deal with. And hopefully I can make it happen and show it off to you guys when it does. So until then, hopefully I'll have some more vintage cards to show off in the next couple weeks. But this was a pretty good one. I felt like, and the one thing about the Mantle I didn't really mention is I sold a bunch of modern cards to buy this. So that's sort of another thing too. I'm consolidating a little bit, getting rid of like Tatum cards and some other players I don't really collect as much as I used to, and getting rid of some of these modern stuff and picking up vintage or 90s cards. So it's part of the plan, slowly happening, but it's kind of going in the right direction of consolidation. So there it is, guys. That's my video. Hope you guys like it, and I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.